I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. Hey everybody, hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we're going to be learning a finger-picking version of the Old Rugged Cross on the ukulele. If you want the printable PDF of the tabs, you have to visit my Patreon page. That's going to be linked in the description box below. Thank you to Enya Music for sponsoring this video, and let's get started. The chords that you're going to need are a C chord, a G7, and an F chord. It's perfect for the beginner. Now here's a little chord changing trick for you beginners out there. We have an F chord right here. To switch to a G7, leave finger number 1 where it is. Now take finger number 2, bring it 1 string closer to your toes, and then take finger number 3 and put that on the 2nd fret of the A string. And then when you transition to a C from a G7, take this finger right here. You're going to lift off fingers 1 and 2. Leave it on the A string. Now slide it over to the 3rd fret. And there you have your C chord. So the transition is a lot easier when you see that the chord has something in common with the other chord. So especially with G7, leaving finger number 3 here, leaving it in contact with the string allows it for a smoother transition. The finger-picking pattern revolves around the chords, and the finger-picking pattern is going to be consistent throughout this entire piece. So first I'm going to teach you the finger-picking pattern, and then we'll put it all together in the context of the song. So let's assign our fingers some strings first. So my thumb is going to be assigned or plucking these 2 strings, the G string and the C string. My index finger will pluck the E string, and my middle finger will pluck the A string. The finger-picking pattern, I'm going to hold a C chord like this, and it's going to be together, thumb, index, thumb, middle, index. So when I say together, we're going to be plucking the G and the A strings together. At the same time, my thumb is going to pluck the C string, then my index finger will pluck the E string, then my thumb back to the C string, my middle finger pluck the A string, and then my index finger will pluck the E string. So let's try that again. Together, thumb, index, thumb, middle, index. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. This may sound a little different if you have a high G string. Mine is strung with a low G, but it's still going to be consistent. I don't think there's going to be much of a difference, but if you hear that mine's a little lower, that's why. So let's start with the intro. We have 4 measures of C, or 4 finger picking patterns in a row with a C chord held on my chording hand, and let's try that. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now when we get to the verse, we have a C for 2 measures, an F for 2 measures, a G7 for 2 measures, a C for 2 measures, for 1 measure, and then a G7 for 1 measure. The finger picking pattern is going to remain consistent, okay? So let's give that a try. I'll go a little slower. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and F chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and G7, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 C chord, 1 and 2 and 3 G7, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now we have the second part of the verse. We have a C for 2 measures, F for 2 measures, G7 for 2 measures, and then we have a C for 2 measures. So it's very similar to what we had previously learned. It's just that we play a C for 2 measures at the very end versus switching back to a G7. So let's try that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and F, dearest and best. G7, world. 1 and 2 and C, slain. Now so I'll cherish the old rugged cross. Sounds like this. We have a G7 for 1 measure, and then you'll notice this is a little different. We'll have, so I wanted it to follow the melody line and then also just the gravity of that change. So the finger picking pattern is going to be the same for the first measure. Together, thumb, index, thumb, middle, index. Now I'm going to be plucking all 3 strings. So you see how each finger has a little buddy right there. We have the C string, E string, and the A string. Pluck your G7 chord. Now lift off fingers 2 and 3. Keep finger number 1 where it is. Now go back to your G7. And then we have C for 2 measures of your finger picking pattern. And 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So here's what it sounds like. 1 and 2 and so I'll cherish the old rugged sea. Oh my. Now we have F chord for finger picking pattern. And then we have this portion. It's going to sound like this. Yeah, do you hear it? I am going to be holding the entire F chord even though I'm not playing the G string. The reason why I do that is because it's within my muscle memory, 1. And then 2, if I accidentally pluck that G string by accident, it's going to sound like I meant to do that, right? I mean, if you accidentally pluck the string and it's not in the F chord, I mean, that might sound kind of cool, but we want it to be an F chord. You know, it just wouldn't sound as consistent. So just keep your recording hand accordingly in the finger position this way, and you can't lose. So it'll sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now my pinky is going to be on the 3rd fret of the A string. And again, each finger has a string buddy. Ring finger to the 2nd fret of the A string. Now release your ring finger, open A string, pluck. So I have my F chord core right here, but I have my pinky, ring finger, and then we have our C chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. The rest of the chorus, it's the regular finger picking pattern. C for 2 measures, F for 2 measures, G7 for 2 measures, and C for 2 measures. So this is what it's going to sound like. 1 and 2. I'll cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. Then I repeat it for the 2nd verse, and then at the very end I play the finger picking pattern a couple of times and then strum a C chord to end it. The play along is next, so you can hear how everything fits together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And I love that old cross, here the dearest and best, for a world of lost sinners was slain. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. Oh, the old rugged cross, so despised by the world, has wondrous attraction for me. For the dear Lamb of God left his glory above to bear it to dark Calvary. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. So I'll cling to the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. Now the ball is in your court. Use this as a conversation starter. Play this busking, play this in coffee shops, in your congregations. Use this to worship his holy name. If you want the, what is it, picking version of, I'm like scratching my face in the middle of this thing. Hi. Whoop. Maybe I should move my hair up like a little bit this way. Maybe, I made it worse. Should I do like half up? I don't know. I'm thinking way too much about my hair, and I don't like that. I don't like futzing with all of this stuff. I just want to get it done. Nobody has time for hair troubles, especially me. I got other stuff to do, like raise 3 kids and get stuff done. Okay, well, there it is. We'll just have to call it good.